it's funny because I've just gotten even more into moths. Like, I'm growing literal moths now. Like,
no. What's up, guys? Nick Major here with idobi Radio, the #1 online station for pop punk and alternative music, where 24/7 you can tune in to hear music, live performances, shows, interviews, and more with all of your favorite artists. So be sure to head to idobi.com or download our free app and tune in today. But for now, I'm about to be sitting down with the artist Mothica. She recently played Lollapalooza. She just dropped a brand new music video, and she has a weird obsession with moths. You heard me correctly. Don't know her too well, so I'm really excited to pick her brain and kind of meet her, learn who she is. So stick around, stay tuned, and this is once again Mothica.
On the outside, having the time of my life, hanging with people I don't like, nobody can hurt me now.
Happy almost 1 week friendiversary of us knowing each other. So we met last week, American Teeth. He was premiering a music video.
yes.
And I was filming a recap video in which I totally captured this very authentic, unplanned out shot of you drinking Liquid Death. It's the water in a can. Be sure to pick up some Liquid Death today. And no, I'm kidding. I saw you and I was like, can you drink this and can I film it? And it was perfect.
It was awesome.
So how have you been in the past week since then? We've chatted a bit, so I feel like I know you a little bit better, but this is the time where I'm really going to meet you.
I'm good. I'm trying to finish an album, but then I keep writing more songs. And it will never end. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know when it will end, but it's good.
Good. I like to hear that. So Mothica, you only child from Oklahoma. What brought you out here to Los Angeles, where you are now pursuing music and actually building a pretty established career for yourself?
Yeah. Well, after living in Oklahoma for all of high school, I moved to New York and then was there for 6 years and would visit LA and dreamed of living here, but I didn't move here till right before the pandemic. So
good timing.
Really good time. And then I hadn't driven since I was 18. So like I had to relearn how to drive basically.
And in LA.
Yeah.
Which is for the first year I lived here, I just avoided freeways and I was just
no.
I
do that right now. I take the scenic route.
Yeah, hit the scenic route. It all takes 10 hours wherever you're going.
Yeah, it's great.
Did you stay out here the whole time during the pandemic?
No, I actually went back to Oklahoma for 6 months.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like 2 weeks or whatever. And then that's where I started like making TikToks because I was finally bored enough to dive in.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like so many of us adults got into TikTok during COVID who like before it was like, this is an app where kids dance. This is just Musical.ly, but their new version of it. And like I also jumped into the TikTok craze like the week that COVID happened.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's just see what
like
this is
April
about.
Or,
no, in March. March, like the week it happened, I was like, you know what? Every week I want to post a TikTok and see what happens. Which, by the way, that TikTok algorithm is insane because I can sit there for hours and I'm just like, I've sat here for hours.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but you've been using it, and that actually proved to be like, I think we all know that TikTok has just this weird thing with music now to where it can blow songs up, it can blow artists up. And you yourself, you posted this video of Vices.
If it's not drugs, it's strings. If it's not drinks, it's things. If it's not things, it's people, places. I don't wanna be these vices.
That video was just like, it was a weird time because it was like quarantine was happening. I was releasing music independently and I felt like every song I put out, like my listeners went down.
You're like, no, it's not supposed to happen this way. Hold on.
And I was just like, felt like very, I don't know, lost with it. And I kind of like went out to this little park in my hometown, like at sunset to listen to the Masters. And I wanted to like film that reaction because I knew it'd be emotional because I just felt like, wow, I actually made something I'm really proud of, even though like no one, gives a shit. And so it's crazy because I posted a little snippet from that video. Nothing happened. And then randomly I decided to post another snippet of Vices like a few days later. And that is the one that like went off in the algorithm. Mm-hmm. So it was very random. And it was like one of those things like, well, thank God I had this like weird urge to post that. And then, I mean, I saw my following or whatever, and everyone like jumped on board to get ready for me to release that song. And I pushed up the release a week. I mean, no, it was going to come out in a month. Mm-hmm. And then I pushed it up so it came out within the week.
Yeah.
And like the distributor I was with was like, don't do that. And I was like, well, nothing I've been doing has worked so far, and this is working. I've learned that now. Don't share unreleased music unless you're putting it out within a week. Because,
I remember Lil Nas X did that with his song Montero, if you know that, Call Me By Your Name, because he posted a clip of it like a year before it came out. And then he said he regretted doing that, A, because the song wasn't done, and then B, he was like, everyone is so hyped for that, I just made them think it's coming out, and it's not. But it worked out for you, and it seems like, at least in your case, it was the right decision to push that release up. So have you always been a music person? Has being a solo artist always been what you wanted to do?
That's a great question. No, I feel like I'm still not even a music person. Like, in high school, I was really into visual art, and you saw I showed a piece at the art show you came.
Yeah.
But I was into visual art, graphic design, coding, and my dream was to work at a record label and help other artists with their vision. And then I kind of did music secretly and did these little covers of songs on YouTube that were like, Bright Eyes and just really emo songs. And then I moved to New York and kind of learned that you can produce your own music. And I kind of just channeled all of that, my ideas, into my project. And so a lot of the times I feel like the music, the visuals are more what I'm focused on than the music. And sing, I don't know, because I just think of music like an artist would. Like, I see melodies and I hear them visually, but I cannot, I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And visually, even just thinking about your music videos, for example, you just dropped one for Upside.
Yeah.
And you actually put out a lot of music videos during COVID.
I know, yeah.
And they all look like, I'm a film person. I love filmmaking and film, and they all look so slick and so good. And I'm sure some of that comes from your love for just the visual stuff.
Yeah.
So with these videos, how do you make those happen? Because they are crazy.
Oh, well, so it really lucked out being in Oklahoma with my parents, because I know a few film people there that shot my video for Vices and Spiral and a few other visual things I did. But my mom owns a vintage store. Mm-hmm. And so she will help with the props and the clothing. So all my videos, my mom is there styling. It's great.
It's your own little film house, your little prop house that you can go to.
Yeah. And it's so cool to shoot in my hometown. I even shot in my old high school and in the house I grew up in over quarantine. So yeah.
And intuition, that first off, for being as perfection as you are with everything, I love the special effects with that. I'm guessing it was green screen stuff or something with all the movement. Yeah. Probably my favorite thing about it though is that you are so about stuff being physical and just how it looks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you spelled the damn name wrong of your own song on the shirt that you're wearing. I think it says Intuition.
Yeah, intuition, something's missing. Cause I heard all the sounds, but I didn't listen. Like a premonition, tunnel vision, making me regret.
Yeah, so in the music video, I'm wearing a typo because I made a little sample of the shirt, and the designer who worked on it with me, English isn't his first language, so it's my fault and it's his. And then I was like, this is hilarious. And then everyone wanted the typo shirt. Uh-huh. But yeah.
What was the house that you filmed that music video in?
That was so my mom knows a girl from her vintage store.
Yeah.
That has a house that looks like a castle. And so I was like, we need to go to Oklahoma and shoot it there because there's no way you can find a location like that in Los Angeles.
You're not going to be able to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was super awesome. We got to shoot there.
And Upside is the new music video.
Yeah. And so ghost hunting, and then it goes into a zombie video. And I tried to interconnect them.
Yeah, which is so cool because I love when stuff kind of has linear stories that go hand in hand. But it's the new music video, so tell me about it. Tell me about your weird look in it when you're surrounded by such happiness and positivity.
I come home to lights off, missed calls, don't even bother. Can't sleep, can't eat, I'm underwater. There's nothing that you can say. I've always felt this way.
So Upside I wrote kind of about just, if you've been through traumatic things or just the amount of shit I've been through. I was just I feel invincible. Nothing can hurt me now. And in the session, it was kind of because I'm already dead on the inside, and how freeing that can be when you feel like you've gone through so much. so we wanted the song to sound really fun, and that like turned into like me being a literal zombie, and like that forced happiness you have to do on like birthdays. Like that's something like about me. My parents would always like try to get me something and get my reaction, but I'm like too deadpan. And so I have to like fake it. So I wanted to like portray that, but as a literal zombie, and then meeting a girl who's also a zombie and finally feeling like I can just like be my dead self.
My dead self. And you have gone through like so much stuff that you openly talk about in your music. And me, I'm like 2 months ago and I'm still doing it. I started seeing a therapist for the first time, which is really good for me. It's allowed me to like address things that I've never been confident in addressing, and to be more open with my friends. And I still have a long ways to go, but it's definitely been like a really good change for me that I'm very happy I'm working on.
Totally.
And while I'm still very closed about a lot of things, you've kind of been able to channel a lot of your experiences from the past that were like your lowest of lows. And you've not only kind of been able to share your story, but also turn it like into songs and into lyrics and be so open with it. And how were you able to get to the point of being this girl, this teenager that was at such low lows, to now growing into this woman who shares your stories through the lyrics and just kind of lets everybody know what you've been through? Because it's very relatable to a lot of people, I'm sure.
Thank
too.
You. Well, yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with how long of a time it's been. Like, I feel like when I was in high school, I had a series of things happen. You know, I got into doing drugs and drinking when I was 14, 15. I was assaulted by my youth pastor. And then I had I tried to commit suicide. I was in the hospital. And this is all when I'm 14, 15, 16 years old. And now I'm finally kind of making music and stuff about it 10 years later. So I think it took me a long time to be able to talk about it and even make art about it. Because I've hinted on it in the past, but really with my last album, and I got sober. So that was just a huge, mental shift of realizing why I am the way that I am. And I used to kind of talk about all those experiences, not jokingly, but kind of I didn't really, I don't know. It's just, I became detached from it.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to kind of make funny comments or jokes about serious things that you don't really want to address head on.
Totally. And while I was still drinking and kind of not well, I didn't feel like I could really make songs about it. And so then I went through this whole shift and stopped drinking and group therapy, and just I had a new language to talk about it. And I feel like it's been so much time that I really felt strongly that if people were to give me shit for it, I feel good about myself now. So, because that was definitely a scary thing. When you share anything like that, people will be mean. Yeah. Yeah.
And at what point did you decide, I need to stop drinking? I need to stop doing drugs? Because that's not an easy decision for someone who's maybe been dependent on it for years.
I mean, I knew that I had a drinking problem, even in high school, because I would go drink by myself, whiskey, and write songs on the piano. I'm some I don't know, alcoholic writer or something. And I was this isn't normal, and then few hospitalizations, and I would just repeat. The biggest thing was I was just repeating patterns where I would do the same shit and just wake up feeling completely terrible about myself. And I was how many years is this gonna go by that I know that I'm not actually having fun anymore, and I started hiding it from people. So and funnily enough, one of the last nights I drank was I tried to do stand-up.
I really want to try to do stand-up, but I don't have the balls to do it.
Okay, well, yeah, but at a party, I just got a beer bottle and started reading jokes off my phone, and I don't know, and I was just so embarrassed, and it wasn't even all the trauma and the hospitalizations that got me to really think about myself. It was just that I was oh God, everyone is gonna remember that weird joke I made. So yeah.
But the sober life, have you noticed a big improvement, at least mentally, or at least how you feel about yourself, see the outside world?
Totally. I think I thought my music would suck, and I also have really bad stage fright playing shows. I would always be obliterated drunk on stage and like lose the money the promoter gave me. So, but then I played my first show not drinking and everyone said I sounded good. Like my vocal sounded better. And I was like, wow, like I'm making better music because I'm more focused and I'm not getting too drunk at the session and not finishing the song. So yeah, and that Blue Hour, the album, it's just like, I don't know, I think it just felt like such an emotional outpouring of everything I felt during that time, and came out during quarantine, which was also just a weird emotional time.
Yeah. Did you work on that during COVID?
I finished it and over quarantine, like, yeah. Yeah,
and a lot of those songs obviously addressing some of the things that we've talked about. And then there's a line in Blue Hour where you mentioned Forever 15, by the way. And it seems like it was kind of foreshadowing almost what the next release would be, which was the EP that you dropped recently. So you're cranking out music, by the way, because that dropped like 6 months before the EP or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny because I just like, went from being an alcoholic to a workaholic, I think. So like, I'm like, I haven't been doing enough. And I'm like, wait, I released an album and an EP.
And the album it came in it was for a time #1 on the pop charts of iTunes.
Yes, which was in my brilliant marketing idea to release it on a Thursday before all the songs come out on Friday. And then it charted because of that.
Not bad.
Yes. So pro tip.
But it's so obviously Forever 15. It was referencing back to your teenage days that you were in low places.
Yeah. And I mean, on that, like, it was just a little lyric in Blue Hour. And then I had it written in my phone and I was like, I feel like I want to expand on that more. And so I went to the studio and we ended up writing this, pop punky, like, I don't know, energetic track about, the saddest experience of my life.
He said, love that you're 15, 10 shots of whiskey, but to my bedside, said now you'll be alright. When I was 15, I thought no one would miss me. They're all just pretending, so I wrote the ending.
That was really crazy because people started getting tattoos based on it. And, about their experience and their age that they were at.
And I think it's so dope that you're writing songs addressing the stuff that because I've seen what people are saying online. And how does it feel knowing that like your experiences, your words, your songs that just come from you and what you've been through are relating so much with other people and helping them?
Well, it's weird because I got some of this attention and like stuff online during quarantine where I couldn't meet anyone.
Yeah.
I did a Zoom. But when I played the Lollapalooza show, and I was really nervous to meet fans because I feel like I don't know what they're going to expect of me. What if I'm awkward? And I got to talk to like teenage girls, like with their mom that like told me like that they related to me. And like the girls that were like 15, 16 years old, like that age, like, it just like, I was like on the verge of tears the whole time. So it was really awesome. Like meeting people in real life and connecting over that is beautiful.
I think that's awesome, and especially when it's people of the demographic that where so much of your songs have inspiration from. That's just got to feel so like, wow, I've been there. I know what you're going through, and it is gonna get better. Because if there's one thing I found through therapy, talking about stuff helps so much, and I'm sure that you being able to write about it, and in the future as you tour more, talk with fans about it, I know that that's going to be just a huge thing for them and a helpful thing for them. So that's awesome. During COVID, you dropped your debut album, which was big. The TikTok thing happened, which was awesome. So how was your career before COVID versus where it's at now as we kind of start to come out of COVID?
Yeah, I actually had songs that were doing pretty well, but more like I had featured on like random EDM songs. Yeah. But no one really followed me, but I had songs that did well, and I did a tour through the US and like no one came. Like I played like Louisville, Kentucky and Chicago.
Hey, that's where our camera guy's from, is Louisville.
Oh, cool. Well, I played it like when it was the firework festival that happens like once a year. So everyone's like, oh, you came over, lights over Louisville. And I was like, I did what?
For who?
Yeah. But it was funny. Like I did this tour and it was like a comically like we couldn't play certain shows because no one came to the venue. So I don't know, just fighting to get my name out there, I guess, through Instagram and, featuring on songs. And then TikTok really answered that question where I could actually show my personality, because I think, I feel like I do better when it's not just like, sing and put out these songs and do acoustic versions. Like I wanted to show my personality and like the meaning behind the songs too. So.
And that's awesome that you really realized the opportunity of TikTok, because I feel like so many people still have a weird opinion of it. And I'm like, if you use that thing right, it is an incredible app. And then a huge thing for you, I know, at your first show coming back after COVID. Well, actually, I'll get to Lollapalooza after this, which is insane. But your first show was with Grandson.
Yes.
And I love that dude. I will always love that. He was here one time doing some stuff, and it was during the midterms for the last election. And so afterwards, he and we went and voted for Bernie, our boy Bernie.
Wow.
And I was like, this is so cool to do, because I love this guy. And I heard, if you saw the new Suicide Squad movie, like his song is at the end credits. But how was it to be back up on stage? Chicago, I think it was, sold out show. What did that feel like after a year of showing yourself to the world, putting out your best music?
Well, that was awesome, because actually early in quarantine, I made a vision board.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Grandson was on there. And so it was a lot of things that ended up happening, even though I'm such a skeptic. And I'm like, oh, it's just a coincidence that everything on my vision board came true. But so Grandson having me on the show, it was crazy, because I'm such a fan of his and I love his message. And I forgot the lyrics to like 5 songs, but it was good.
And then the big one too, though, was Lollapalooza, which was so sick. That must have been just surreal for you, because I bet a year before you didn't imagine that could have happened. So how was that?
It was okay. The last show I played 3 shows in 2 days, and the last show I played, there was like a crowd there, and they knew the lyrics, and there's people wearing the shirts, and I felt like that energy that I feel like, I dream performers like feel. And it felt really good. But in general, I feel like I'm so introverted, and like performing, you have to be so self-aware. And so I was really nervous before that. I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to play shows again. And then I had one show that really like felt
And you're
nice.
like, wait a sec, this is exactly what I want to feel.
Totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to ask you about these damn moths, okay? You love the moths. You got tattoos of them. You grow them.
Yes.
So just hit me with this whole moth history, because I've heard of so many different creatures and critters that people love, and it's normally normal stuff that I understand. But moths? Yeah,
so the name Mothica came before the music. And around the time I was 14, 15, kind of going through that, a lot. And I had joked to my friends that I was a moth in a past life, because moths are like self-destructive and they're nocturnal, and they're just like these like, underappreciated butterflies basically. And I felt like that. And so it was a joke, and my friend was like, I'm Gothica and you're Mothica. That hence the name Mothica.
Touché.
Yeah. And but I also really like animals. Like I never talk about this, but I used to have like 5 snakes, a tarantula, squirrels, ducks.
You used to have squirrels?
Yeah, flying squirrels.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so sick.
Yeah.
Did they live like inside with you?
Well, they're sugar gliders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
the ones that got cute eyes and stuff?
But they are also nocturnal. So, when I'm like an 8-year-old, like, they weren't hanging out with me really, but
They were hanging out at night.
Yeah, they also escaped once.
They escaped? Did you ever see them again? Did they fly away into oblivion?
No, we donated them to the zoo, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that was good for the zoo. Good for them.
But I would volunteer at this local zoo, and I, if I hadn't gone into the arts or music, I probably would have gone into like animal. I don't know. I wanted to have an animal TV show when I was like a kid.
Well, with 6 snakes, a couple of squirrels, and all this stuff, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was like, wow, I couldn't just have like one animal. Like I was really, I don't know, I was really showing my alcoholism. I had to have every animal. So I love bugs. I love moths. And so it's funny, because I kind of hated the name as my music artist like name. But then I was like, no, this is sick. And now I'm growing literal moths.
I know, which is wild. What do you do with them? Is it like a little caged enclosure that they live in?
They're tiny right now. They're in a little jar. I go give them leaves. They eat these leaves that are all over LA, so you can just find them. And they poop a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I clean out their cage, give them new leaves.
That's a good mother. And you've taught me that moths don't drink water.
Yes, and it's really sad, because like the caterpillars eat for months, and then once they hatch, they have no mouths, so they just starve.
How do they survive?
they just live off the fat reserves
that they've built up inside of it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So I was at my friend's place last weekend, and he had like one of those fly lights that the bugs fly into and die.
Oh, yeah.
And so very sad. I hope no moths went into
Yeah.
it. But you were saying how moths are like destructive, going towards the light of death for all that they know. And I know
Yes.
that's a direction you were heading down when you were younger. But now it seems like it's kind of shifted to you being the moth, and the light you're going towards is more positivity and ambition.
And that's what I like about it, is that it can change meanings. And that's also something I think about in my music, is like trying to have that silver lining.
Yeah. And I know it's not a butterfly, but I almost feel like you could reference you blossoming like a butterfly, or like a phoenix from the ashes, in just regards to...
Well, that was my last EP before this album was Ashes.
Yeah.
And
so because you've done a number of EPs. What, you had Mythic?
Yeah, and that was named that because Mothica would autocorrect to Mythic.
And you're like, I didn't even mean to do that. I'm just going to keep it as that. It looks good. Whatever. And so all these nocturnal animals that you had, I believe your next album is called Nocturnal.
It is.
Correct? And you had it as a little hidden message in your music video.
Yeah, but I'm not at the point where my Easter eggs people find really organically. I kind of have to be like, hey, there's an Easter egg in here at this time.
And then they still can. At this shot, on this book. But so that's the next album that's coming out. And what are you planning for it? It sounds like you're already deep in the writing process. You can't stop writing. But is this a similar theme? Are you still reflecting on moments that you're kind of recovering from? Is there some new stuff that you're touching on?
It's very different. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, oh God, I might lose some fans from this one. But it's more empowered. Like my last album was Blue Hour, and it's this transition, and it's the sunset, and Nocturnal is like, I'm owning the night now. And like it definitely explores more rock sounds. There's like a breakdown in a song, but it still has that like pop melodies that I love, because I wanted to kind of include the music I listened to growing up, and you know, my love for Max Martin and like a good pop hook. So I'm meshing like a lot of different sounds, and it's definitely a lot more conceptual and like...
Oh, cool. So it's conceptual. I'm excited to see the music videos that can go along with that potentially.
Yeah.
Because I just want to see videos that flow together.
Yeah. They're going to be a lot, darker than...
Ooh.
Yeah.
So what else do you got planned for this year? It seems like hopefully the world is opening back up. I feel like everyone has this Delta variant on their mind. We have no idea if shows are going to happen, if tours are going to happen. But from what you can say, from what you know what's in the works, what can the world expect from Mothica in 2021, 2022?
My plan is to release 1 or 2 singles from my new album by the end of the year. And and I will be announcing that I am starting my own record label.
Oh, because you're an independent artist.
Yeah.
And I feel like nowadays, if you play it right, if you're smart with it, with the internet, with social media, that's really something that you can do for yourself.
Totally.
But you're taking the route of now creating your own record label. I'm guessing Moth Records?
No, it's called Heavy Heart Records.
What? There's no Moth inclusion?
I know, there's no Moths, but it's funny. I have a song called Heavy Heart that it's not even a good song, but it means a lot to me, and I have it tattooed. So.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I got to partner with Rise Records and BMG to start my own label, which has been the dream because I care so much about helping other artists, which eventually I hope I could maybe develop other acts. But for now, it's like just giving myself that title of like really doing all of the creative, because I've done every role there is for my project now, that I've learned enough to be like, okay, I want to, I'll give myself the title now.
And that's dope, because years ago, that was your plan. You wanted to work at a record label.
Yes.
You wanted to work with artists.
Yeah.
And now your own music career is kind of allowing you to live out multiple like aspects of your life that you've always loved.
Totally. I mean, that's like the dream.
And your songs are so catchy. Like they're so good, and like I genuinely loved your stuff when I heard it. That's why I was like, I gotta chat with this girl. Have you always been a good lyricist, good at writing, or how did you kind of grow into that?
Yeah, I think most about the title or the concept, and wanting to make the sounds fit the title, whatever that may be, especially with the new album Nocturnal, which kind of has this like sleep theme throughout, so I really got to play with like that in the songs. I definitely think visually first, and then I will imagine what the song should sound like, and it's very weird. I don't know. I wish I was actually trained musically.
Yeah, but I think sometimes just the natural version of it that comes from people, you can't train someone with that, and some people just have a good knack for it. What's it like for you to if you think back to 15-year-old Broken You, what would you think now if you knew in 10 years what you were going to be doing, who you were going to be? Because what a change of pace from who you were.
Oh, I would be really stoked to see me now, especially like in high school, I was always drawing tattoos on myself with Sharpie, and I dreamed of living, well, I don't have my own place now. I'm still in an apartment, but like living outside of Oklahoma and like going to New York or LA and just I wanted to have like a creative complex where I could kind of do everything. And now that's basically just my living room, where when I'm sick of doing music, I turn around and I go make the props for the photo shoot and stuff like that. So I think I'm doing what my 15-year-old self would be stoked on.
I'm happy for you. I think that it's so cool to see what this past year has done for you, and it's got to be exciting because I know you've been working at it for years. Yeah. And do you have a name for your fans? I feel like there's always a following name. Something related to moths.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I call them a lot of things. I call them like
losers,
mothlings.
Idiots. No, I'm just kidding.
I call them like the swarm. I call them little moths. I call them mothlings, mothwings.
That name will develop. You'll develop a solid one.
It's always tricky when someone likes my music but hates moths. That is a real
They're like,
thing.
oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, exposure therapy? Like, sorry.
It's going to be in your face if you like me.
And it's funny because I've just gotten even more into moths. Like, I'm growing literal moths now. Like,
know.
If you talk to me in a few years, I might just like have a, butterfly garden of
They're
moths.
just going to be following you everywhere you go. On tour, people can buy moths at the merch
I'll
table.
Start selling taxidermy moths.
Which I've seen some beautiful ones, especially those big moths. Moths are weird, but I feel like that's a conversation for a different time.
Yeah.
But dude, thank you for chatting. I'm really happy that we were able to cover so much. I could kind of pick your brain and learn you a bit. And while Nocturnal is still not coming until next year, it seems like Forever 15 is out now, so people can check that out and all of your other releases. I mean, it was just the 1-year anniversary of the debut album, right?
Yeah, like this week.
Yeah, so that's I'm sure that just whole year in reflection is awesome as well.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was like, wait, like we're still in quarantine basically too.
We're still in quarantine.
Oh, God.
But that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats with it all. I love just the music, the story that you have chosen to kind of rise from as a stronger person, as opposed to bottling it up or letting it define you in a negative way. So that's dope. But thank you so much for chatting, Mothica, Mackenzie. I don't know what to call you. I don't know what to.
Mothica and Mackenzie.
Mothikenzie.
Yes.
I'll just mix the two together. But dude, congrats on it all. I will be at the October 1st show.
Oh,
and
sick.
I'm hoping you will let me film it because I really want to get into filming more sets. So count me in for that. That'll be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for chatting. And let's go enjoy the world.
Thank you, idobi.
Thank you. I think that covered it. Did we cover everything? Woo! It's getting warm in here.